Once upon a time in the heart of Ojuma, a small village surrounded by thick forest and flowing rivers, there was a sacred object known as the life pot. The pot was said to hold the destiny of the entire village. According to legend, the gods had gifted it to Ojuma hundreds of years ago, and it controlled the fertility of their lands, the rain for their crops, and the health of their people. Without the life pot, the village would fall into chaos. Ojemba, the wise and powerful king of Ojuma, guarded the pot in a secret chamber within the palace. One early morning, as the village prepared for the annual Ofola festival, a loud scream erupted from the palace. A servant ran out shouting, "The life pot is gone! The life pot is gone!" Panic spread like wildfire. The king stormed into the palace courtyard with his guards. "Who has done this?" Dibia Nukaik knelt before the king. "Your Highness, the gods are angry. Someone with an evil heart has stolen the life pot. If we do not find it within 7 days, the village will fall into ruin." That same day, the skies darkened, and heavy rain began to fall. But instead of nourishing the land, the rain destroyed the crops. Rivers overflowed, sweeping away homes and livestock. The villagers cried out in fear. It was clear the gods were punishing Ojuma. Ojemba summoned the entire village to the palace square. "Who among you touched the life pot?" he demanded. No one spoke. The king declared, "If no one confesses, I will send every servant to prison until they confess or tell me who touched the pot." Later that night, as the king sat in his chamber, a strong wind blew through the window. Suddenly, a piece of palm leaf landed on his table. Written in charcoal were the words, "The pot is in the forbidden forest. Send your bravest to retrieve it, or face destruction. You have only 3 days." The king summoned his council. Who would dare enter the forbidden forest? The villagers whispered among themselves. The forbidden forest was feared by all. It was said to be home to evil spirits and creatures that no man could defeat. For the chosen ones. Finally, Obina, the king's youngest son, stepped forward. "Father, I will go," he said, his voice steady. The villagers gasped. Beside him, Adana also stepped forward. "I will go too," she said. Adana was brave and skilled with a spear. The king hesitated but nodded. He also commanded all his palace guards to join them. "Go with the blessings of the gods," he said, handing them a small calabash for protection. The next morning, Obina, Adana, and the guards set off. The villagers gathered to pray for their safe return. The forbidden forest was dark and silent, with tall trees that seemed to touch the sky. Every step they took echoed around them. Suddenly, they heard a growl. A black leopard leapt out of the bushes, its yellow eyes glowing. Adana quickly grabbed her spear and lunged at the beast. Obina also threw a spear at its head. After a fierce fight, the leopard ran off, leaving them breathless. As they continued, they came across a river. A beautiful woman sat by the water, combing her long hair. "Who are you?" she asked in a soft voice. Obina hesitated, but Adana replied, "We seek the life pot of Ojuma." The woman laughed. "The life pot is cursed. Turn back now, or you will never return." "We cannot," Obina said firmly. The woman's eyes turned fiery red. She transformed into a giant bird and attacked them. Adana threw her spear, but it bounced off the bird's feathers. Obina quickly poured the powder from the calabash on the bird, and it screeched before vanishing into smoke. After defeating the spirit woman, they found a narrow path leading deeper into the forest. At the end of the path, they saw a cave. A voice boomed from inside, "To take the life pot, you must pass 3 trials. The first trial was a riddle: I am not alive, but I grow. I do not have lungs, but I need air. What am I?" Obina thought hard and finally answered, "Fire." The cave door opened slightly. The second trial was a test of courage. They had to cross a bridge made of snake-like vines. Adana led the way, her hands steady, and they both made it across safely. The final trial was a battle with a giant stone guardian. Obina and Adana fought bravely, using their wits to outsmart the slow-moving creature. When they struck its weak spot, a glowing mark on its chest, it crumbled into dust. Inside the cave, they found the life pot glowing on a stone pedestal. But as they reached for it, a shadowy figure appeared. It was Ekwensu, the trickster god. If you take this pot, you will pay a price, he warned. What price? Obinna asked. You will lose something dear to you, Ekwensu replied, vanishing into the shadows. Obinna and Adana carried the life pot back to the village. As soon as they stepped into Ojuma, the rain stopped, and the sun broke through the clouds. The villagers cheered and danced, praising the gods. But the joy was short-lived. Obinna suddenly collapsed. His body grew cold, and his breathing slowed. The Dibia examined him and said, the gods have taken his strength as payment. Adana wept beside him. Obinna, wake up, she cried. The next day, as the villagers prayed for Obinna, the life pot began to glow. A small seed appeared inside it. The Dibia said, plant this seed. It is a gift from the gods. They planted the seed in the village square. Within minutes, a tall tree grew, bearing golden fruits. With the life pot back in its place and the tree providing blessings, Ojuma flourished once again. Obinna and Adana were hailed as heroes. The king declared the life pot would be guarded more closely, and the villagers vowed never to forget Obinna and the price he paid. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to my channel at I Am Holenje for more stories. Also like, share and comment. See you in my next story. Please stay